Will Palaszczuk, Matt Michaels here with you after Mizzou Monday. 84-79, Missouri falls to Kentucky. This was an encouraging game for many reasons, but the thing that was discouraging, Matt, was that Missouri's defense not up to par against a very talented Kentucky team.
Well, Kentucky's really good, and Missouri, I think, showed its best when you talk about its two best players scoring at or near 30 points in this game. Between, Brown and Clarkson, you had 61 points, which is the most from a tandem in, I believe it was 15 or 20 years for the Tigers, between two different players.
Chivas and Irvin did it last against Va-Tech.
And the fact of the matter is they still didn't have enough, because they didn't have enough up front, and we knew kind of coming into this conference season that might be a problem once in a while. They might get bit. They got bit because they only got 3 points from their forwards and centers in this game. That's not going to be enough to win in conference play, and it wasn't against Kentucky.
Career high 33 for Jabari Brown, 28 for Jordan Clarkson in Missouri's loss, and really they couldn't funnel much through anybody else. That's the one thing that really was difficult to really stomach for Missouri. They drove the paint early, but once Kentucky switched to a zone, that really seemed to hamper them.
Yeah, Kentucky kind of did what Mizzou's done to teams when it's played well, which is settle into that zone and then collapse inside. Anytime there was any sort of pass inside, I felt that the Tigers didn't have, a fair fight, so to speak, because you got a pair of 7-footers on the Kentucky side. They got so much talent on that team, it's ridiculous. It's a team that is highly ranked preseason, and you understand why, because John Calipari gets the best of the best in there, and I still think that Mizzou played well. I mean, because they had two guards that were having hero games, and at the same time, it wasn't quite enough. I think you can be encouraged by the fact that you had, a pair of backcourt players play as well as they did. And Calipari, after the game, was very complimentary of Clarkson and Brown. But fact of the matter is, you need to get it somewhere else, and the Tigers didn't. And they also missed some free throws, too. I think that still does need to be mentioned. They missed 10. If they would have hit half of them, they would have been tied, and the game would have been going to overtime. Didn't work out quite that way, so you learn from it and you move on in the conference season, and you get a game on Tuesday night. I don't know how they're going to win down in Gainesville.
It's very, very tough to see that. Obviously, Billy Donovan's teams are always very, very good. Missouri lost very badly at the O-Dome last year. They won the return engagement, only one game against the Gators this year. The loss does not necessarily, take Missouri out of the tournament discussion, but it keeps them on the bubble. A win could have at least gotten them back to the point where they would be solidly in with a statement victory at home against a team like Kentucky. These next two games could tell the story of the rest of the season, because after that, 3 home games, and we're at the point in the season right now where Missouri's played 8 games, they've split them, and they've got 5 games left at home, 5 games left on the road. The ones at home are all winnable. They probably could win 3 out of the 5 on the road, but the one that they play tomorrow is a very tall task.
It seems to be tough because Florida's been playing so great defensively and so great at home this season. If they could win that one, it would put them, like you said, Will, firmly into the NCAA field. They're kind of on the edge right now by most estimations, the Tigers are. You'd really like to see them win it, but it just seems too difficult because Florida all season long has shown more defensive salt than even the Kentucky Wildcats have. So if you got Kentucky's best defensive shot, expect that and a little bit more on the road. You won't get any calls. It seems tough. We'll see if Missouri can do it. I think they can do it if they can slow the game down. I thought that game against Kentucky, if we saw it in the 80s, it was going to be a win for the Wildcats, and they got 84 in the end. So if Mizzou can find a way to play this game in the 60s and make it ugly, they can probably come away with a shot at the end and maybe steal one. But if Florida's going to be scoring, it might be too tough, and you look at Mississippi next.
Kentucky defeats Missouri 84-79 on Saturday. Missouri tomorrow against Florida. Pre-game coverage on 103.1, 96.7 KCMQ begins at 7:30 for an 8 p.m. tip at the O-Dome in Gainesville before Missouri heads to the TAD Saturday to face Ole Miss. For Matt Michaels, I'm Will Palaszczuk on the Zimmer Sports Network.